I haven't seen him since.
But how can people like Jolt more than me? Jolt sucks.
At least Jolt did something besides getting killed.
How could this happen to me? I made my mistake.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? When you were 8 and you had bad traits, you go to school and learn the golden rule.
People like me more than you.
I know.
Alright, so a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people like Jolt. Even more than Sideways, which is really shocking, you know, because I mean Sideways is just such an awesome Decepticon. I'm being sarcastic, by the way, don't tell him I said that. A lot of people like Jolt, and I think the reason why so many people like Jolt is because he's unique, you know? I mean, we have never seen an Autobot that could merge two Transformers together. We have never seen an Autobot with lightning whips. So you guys know how this works. First, I'm gonna cover the movies, how Michael Bay handled him and how he screwed him over, and then I will cover the games and comics to see how they handle the character. Jolt was one of the Autobots that came onto Santium, the ship that brought the second wave of Autobots. It brought the Wreckers, Sideswipe, Skids and Mufflap, the Archer Sisters, and Jolt. Now, for the most part in the movie, we see Jolt here and there, like riding along the Autobots in vehicle mode. We don't really get a good shot at him until the death of Optimus Prime, and where we see the Autobots all together looking at Optimus Prime's dead body, and then when they're about to be attacked by the humans, we see Jolt and he kind of activates his electricity from his arms. Those are his lightning whips. But before anything can go down, Lennox and Epps intervene and they get Holloway's forces to stand down. But like we all know, Sam with Wicked contacted Lennox and told him that there's a way to revive Optimus and they need to go to his location in Egypt. So Jolt and the remaining Autobots were deployed to Egypt. Now we see Jolt really, and I mean really in the background. You can barely see him sometimes. But we see him shooting some Decepticons. So which means that his lightning whips are not the only weaponry he has. Like he also has some machine guns or I don't know, regular guns. We never get a good look, but this lets us know that he has both ranged weapons and melee weapons. And we all know this scene where Jolt appears out of nowhere. By your powers combined, I am. Well, I'm nobody actually. He combines Optimus Prime and Jetfire, and the rest is history. They beat the Fallen and the Autobots are allowed to stay on Earth. And after that, we don't see Jolt ever again. Now, some people like to think that he's alive, and some people say that he's dead. Personally, I think he's dead. Now, while the comics are not canon, they do give us a good idea as to what happened to some of the Autobots that we don't see in the movies and mysteriously disappear. I really like what the comics did with Jolt. I think they made him an interesting character and are really badass. We're gonna start with the Titan movie comics. And now, after the defeat of the Fallen, the Autobots Bumblebee and Jolt were hunting down Reaper, a fugitive. Things got messy and Jolt wasn't having a good time against Reaper. He managed to use his electric webs to try and stop Reaper. But while doing this, he missed and hit a electricity pole, and this kind of caused a blackout. But thankfully Bumblebee managed to catch Reaper. But when Jolt got back, Optimus Prime gave Jolt a heavy lecture about being really careful. 2 days later, Jolt was deployed to Las Vegas, where he fought the Decepticon Blue John. Now, using his electro whips, he managed to get a few good shots on Blue John. The two of them were evenly matched. Blue John then turned his attention to the casino's patrons and shot at them, but Jolt noticed this and he got in the way of the blast. He got hit but saved the humans' lives. So Jolt was really injured. He was on the ground with no way out and thought he was gonna join the Allspark. As Blue John raised his sword to deal the final blow on Jolt, he used his electro whips to connect to one of the power to the electricity poles and then redirect the electricity back to Blue John. Blue was defeated, fell to the ground in a shock. But by doing this, Jolt created a massive blackout in the city. When Jolt returned to base, Optimus Prime confined Jolt to the base since he realized that Jolt's powers were way too much. It caused too much collateral damage, and the relationship between the Autobots and the humans was already pretty tense because they pretty much distrusted each other, and the Autobots, well, let's just say they caused a lot of collateral damage. But eventually Jolt, after some training, he manages to go back to the field and he starts fighting some Decepticons again. He also fought against Deaden, the Decepticon vampire. Yes, he's a vampire, he sucks energon, and it's a long story, I might cover him sometime. But he lost his left arm during the battle. Instead of staying back while the other Autobots were getting destroyed by Deaden, Jolt used his Electro Whip and managed to knock out Deaden by charging his Electro Whip with a battery he had carried. After that, the Autobots took Deaden to Diego Garcia for medical treatment. After arriving at the base, Ratchet told Jolt that by not killing Deaden and bringing him to the base to try and treat his illness, it showed to the others that they had what it takes to be real Autobots. Basically, Deaden was experimented on by the Decepticons, and that's why he turned into some kind of vampire. Jolt realized this, and it was one of the reasons why he decided to bring Deaden to the other Autobots instead of killing him. So pretty much after this, we don't really get a lot of Jolt in the Titan comics. I mean, there's a few more stories with him just going on leading his own small group of Autobots. For example, Doomruner, Rollbar, hanging out with Springer, Stratosphere. Not much happens, and for the most part after those events, he kinda just becomes a side character. He doesn't get any proper stories. But I gotta admit, the Titan comics did do a lot of good stuff with him, and they showcase his powers really well, because that's something I always wanted to see. I always wanted to see Jolt use his electric whips to fight Decepticons. And I'm kinda happy that the Titan comics give us an idea of how powerful he is and how reckless he is. It gives a lot of character to a character that had no character in the movies. Thank you, Michael Bay. Alright, so now we're gonna cover the IDW movie comics. Okay, so we're gonna start with Nefarious. So in Nefarious number 1, Jolt and a group of Autobots are attacked by Soundwave, and there's a battle, and we see Soundwave's new pet minions, for example, Ratbat, Beastbox, and a couple others. Now the battle's intense, but at the end Soundwave and the Decepticons end up retreating. After the battle in the nest base, Theodore Galloway, who was one of the, supervisors of the nest forces, saw Jolt, and he kind of got mad at Lennox for not following protocols. See, the thing is that every time a new Autobot arrives, Lennox is supposed to report directly to Galloway that there's a new Autobot, there's a new cadet, a new recruit. But the thing is that Jolt wasn't really a new recruit. He arrived on Earth with RC skits and Moflap, so he was not a new guy. It's just that Jolt was one of those characters that were always in the background, and they were not really noticed, so when Galloway saw him, he thought he was a new guy. So this doesn't really serve any purpose, but it's just telling us that the comics are even acknowledging that Jolt was one of those characters that were just, in the background, and people were like, who's that guy? Where did he came from? Is he new? Did he just got here? Much later, in Nefarious number 3, Jolt and his fellow cadets Knockout and Doomruner with Bumblebee managed to capture Soundwave. But Soundwave's minions were not so happy, and they decided to attack the Autobots. In the battle that broke up, Soundwave was freed by his minions and transformed and tried to escape. While the Autobots were fighting, the Autobot Breakaway transformed and pursued Soundwave. There was a massive dogfight between the two of them. Bumblebee told Breakaway to retreat since they were going far away from the battle and they couldn't help Breakaway if he got in trouble. Breakaway decided to ignore this and went after Soundwave, but Soundwave managed to get the upper hand in the battle and kill Breakaway. Jolt and the other Autobots were devastated and decided to retreat, let Soundwave get away, because they didn't want any more casualties on their side. Much later in the Nefarious series, we find out that a new group of humans is trying to recreate the Allspark. tried to use it to destroy all the Autobots and Decepticons. And they even managed to enslave a few Autobots and Decepticons. We get new Autobots and Decepticons that were captured and enslaved by the group of humans. Jolt assisted in the battle. He fought many Autobots and Decepticons, but they tried not to kill them, since they were being mind controlled. During the battle, Jolt also encountered what it appeared to be lockdown. It's not 100% sure if this is lockdown, but hasn't been confirmed. But after the battle, Optimus Prime managed to destroy the fake Allspark cube and freed all the Autobots and Decepticons. After that, each side went their separate ways. And now, we move to the Rising Storm. So in this comic, Jolt kinda stops being a warrior and takes the role of a technician. Well, it kinda makes sense, you know, electric whips, electricity guy, kinda makes sense. So he basically is just monitoring the base, making sure that everything is functioning pretty well. And he informs Optimus Prime that Bumblebee and Sam with Wiki were attacked by a Decepticon. Optimus Prime orders Knockout, Doom-Runner, and Jolt to keep an eye on Fierce-Swoop, who was recently captured by the RC sisters. Jolt was pretty disappointing since he wanted to get out in the field again. All this time working as a technician has really made him quite bored of his job. Okay, so much later, Joel was basically reading comics and making fun of Fierce-Swoop. He was the prisoner, by the way. While he was doing this, the corpse of his friend Knockout came bursting out of the ceiling and falling to the ground. And out of the destroyed wall came Shockwave. Joel got into position. He prepared to attack the intruder with his electric whips, but Shockwave was really unimpressed. Joel then said, "Intruder, stop or I'll stop you." Shockwave just stared at Jolt and then immediately shot him down. After being shot down by Shockwave, Jolt fell to the ground heavily injured. As Shockwave was freeing Fierce-Swoop, Jolt tried to contact Optimus Prime, asking him for help. His last words were, Prime, do you read me?" And then Shockwave turned around and said, "No, he does not," and then killed Jolt. And now we move on to Transformers Dark of the Moon issue 1. While Jolt doesn't really make an appearance in this comic, we see that there's a grave for Jolt, Alita 1, and a few other Autobots that died throughout the comics. I'm pretty sad that Jolt died that way, you know, getting killed by Shockwave, and that was about it for him. He was a really interesting Autobot. I mean, his weapon, the way he looked, I mean, he was just cool. I mean, the first time I saw him, he was just cool to me. I thought he was gonna be one of the coolest Autobots in the movie. And he ended up having less than 5 minutes of screen time. That was sad, honestly. While the IDW movie comics, I thought they did a decent job with Jolt, but they could have done a little more. I feel that the Titan movie comics did an awesome job with Jolt. They gave him personality, they gave him power, they actually made him a character. So unlike the previous Wasted Potential, where I said that I like what IDW did with them, I kinda like what Titan Comics did with this character. Which is kinda shocking because I usually like IDW better than Titan Comics, but I guess this is one of those rare occasions. So as far as the comics go, Jolt is dead. As far as the movie goes, he's unknown. Nah, could he come back? I wanna say he could come back, but the problem is that, well, Jolt has been absent for 2 movies. And all the Autobots that are warriors appear on Transformers Dark of the Moon and Revenge of the Fallen, and after that we never saw him again. Now, he could be hiding like Hot Rod, because I mean, supposedly Hot Rod has been on Earth for a long time, but he hasn't joined the Autobots for whatever reason. Maybe Joel decided to leave the Autobots for whatever reason. I really doubt that that's what he did, but I mean, who knows. I personally think that Jolt's dead and he won't be coming back. Sorry, Jolt fans. As much as I like this guy, as much as I like the concept of Jolt, I just cannot see him come back. I'm sorry. I could see Sideswipe, some of the Wreckers, and probably Dino come back, but Jolt, it's been way too long, and I think this character for the most part has been forgotten. So I'm sorry, Jolt fans, but I don't see it happening. But anyways, guys, let me know, who do you want to see in the next video? The Dreads, the Wreckers, or whatever, or the character you want me to talk about. Like, comment, and subscribe to show me that you really like this series. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.